So you've been looking at moving to Pickering and you're having a hard time finding maybe what are the top neighborhoods to move to? Well, in this video, I'm going to cover off the top 5 neighborhoods in Pickering, and we're getting into it right after this. Hey, what's going on? My name is Brad Goetz with Right at Home Realty, and I'm a local realtor here in the Durham region. If this is your first time to the channel, you're going to want to subscribe to it and hit that little bell. That way you're notified each and every time I do post a new video. It also helps me out by having subscribers because it helps put my videos in front of other people. So I do appreciate it if you do subscribe. And if as you're watching the video, you're finding it useful, maybe hit a little like button on it as well. Share it with other people that you might be knowing that are looking to move here as well. In this video, I'm going to be covering off the top 5 neighborhoods here, and I'm also going to explain a little bit in terms of why they're the top 5, and it helps give you an idea of maybe the areas that you want to look at. I've ranked them based on percentage of list price, so they're in no order of quality of life or anything like that. It's just kind of how much over asking on average these properties within these little neighborhoods are actually selling for. I have people reaching out from all over the world, and I absolutely love it. So if you are looking at relocating here, you can call, text, email, send the carrier pigeon, whatever is easiest for you. And I'm here to make your move and relocation go so much easier. And we're going to get into it right now. So the neighborhood that comes in at number 5 is called West Shore. So this is a location of Pickering that is to the north is the 401, to the south is Lake Ontario, to the west is Petticoat Creek, and then to the east is actually Frenchman's Bay. Currently on the MLS, the house prices are starting at $699,000, and that's for a detached home, and they go all the way to about $2.3 million for a completely rebuilt type home. So there was a home, and this is what it looked like in 2018. And then they have torn it down, and this is kind of what they have built on top of it. There's a good amount of new homes in this area, which is an older subdivision. So I currently live in a subdivision similar to this, where we are a new subdivision where the homes are only about 6 months old. And the house is behind us, and the neighborhood is 30-year-old homes. So we have mature trees, parks. So the infrastructure of the neighborhood is actually already set up. So it's kind of like a good alternative to having a brand new house in a brand new neighborhood, where these here are more turnkey. And I think that's what makes these neighborhoods kind of so popular. The dominant year built of the homes in this neighborhood is between 1961 and 1990. So that's when a lot of the homes have gone in here. Some of the features of West Shore, which makes it so popular, is the fact that it's waterfront living at its finest. So it's like you're right there by the water, so there's tons that you can do. It's good for outdoor play and activities. So if you like hiking or trails, or just riding your bike, rollerblading, there's so much that you can do down there with the waterfront trail that's kind of right at your footsteps. If you're into boating, it's a huge plus because you're right by a marina. So you can actually have a boat and use it without having to drive to your cottage or whatnot. It's right there, and you can hop into Lake Ontario. And the area itself has 4 parks, 3 schools. It's close to the GO train. And the good thing about this is they actually have an express. So you can actually make it to Union Station in about 30 minutes. The area itself has a really strong sense of community, and the average house price here, based on Q1 of 2020, was $767,000, and this is what that kind of house would look like. The average days on market here, based on Q1 of 2020, was 13. And then in terms of, and this is how I've ranked all of these neighborhoods, in terms of the percentage based on the sale price to list price, the average was 100%. So that means if something was listed at $100,000 or $1 million, it sold for $100,000 or $1 million on average. So some more, some less, but overall, that shows that the homes there, that they sell fairly quickly at 13 days, and they're selling for pretty much 100% of list price. That covers off our 5th neighborhood, so let's jump on to our next one. So our fourth neighborhood is called Liverpool. So this is an area, it's really hard to describe because it kind of like, it's right in the middle of Pickering and it doesn't have just one street to the north, east, west, south or such. So here's a picture of where Liverpool actually is within Pickering to make it a lot easier to understand kind of where it is. The house prices here, they range based on the MLS as of July 2020. They range from $599,000 for a townhouse, similar to this one. And then it goes to about over $1.5 million for like a detached, new or something renovated. And depending on the house, sometimes they're even more than that, but this is what kind of a $1.5 million house would look like in this neighborhood. It's an area which is mostly detached, semi-detached, and then there are some townhomes as well. The dominant year built for these homes is the same as our previous point, which was 1961 to 1999. The good thing about this neighborhood is it's very close to Pickering Town Center and the GO train. So if you need shopping, you can go to the Pickering Town Center. If you need to go downtown, you can hop the GO train, and if you catch the express, you're there in about 30 minutes. There is easy access to the Civic Complex, which is home to Rib Fest, Food Truck Festival, and then the Summer Gazebo concerts, which are something that you definitely want to check out. They are home to 7 parks and great schools. So the average rating of schools within Liverpool is 7.3 out of 10. So it is above the provincial average by almost a whole point. I think it's even more than 1 point, but yeah, it's great schools. It is much like the rest of Pickering as well in terms of a great place to relax and come. If you are looking at the house prices based on Q1 2020 on how I've actually ranked this, so the average house price was $770,000. The average days on market was 14 days on market, and then the sale price to list price was at 100%. So that means if something was sold at or listed at 100,000, it ended up selling for 100,000. Or if you want more realistic, is if it's listed at 599, on average, it's selling for 599,000. That covers off our fourth neighborhood. Let's jump on to our next. So our third top neighborhood is called Town Center. So this is an area which, picture a triangle, and you're probably seeing it as I'm speaking now, but it runs from Kingston down south to the 401. And then it goes all the way east to about the Diane, Princess of Wales Park that's there. The house prices here range based on July 2020 on the MLS from $439,000 condo to an $850,000 detached. So this kind of gives you an idea of what those types of houses would actually look like. The area itself is mostly made up of condos and apartments. There are some detached in towns, but it's predominantly condos and apartments here. The average, the dominant year of homes built or condos and apartments built is 1961 to 1990. The location itself is extremely convenient, and you may not need a car. So if you're coming from Toronto and you don't own a car now, you could transition into Durham and be at Pickering, the town center area, and you might be able to get away with not having a car because you are close to the Pickering Town Center and you are like pretty much walking distance to the GO station. So you can make it to Union Station on the Express in about 30 minutes. If you're just catching the regular train, it's closer to the 45 to 50 minutes. So it's not a huge difference. It's an extremely hot market due to the price points, first of all. And then second of all, it's very attractive from those coming from Toronto because it's kind of like that transition of affordability. If you're going to compare in a condo or a house in Pickering to what you would be able to get in Toronto, it's night and day difference. The average house prices in this neighborhood is $547,000. So that factors in condos, detached, like everything as a whole. The average was $547,000. The average days on market was 17, and then the sale price to list price was actually 102%. So if something was listed at $1 million, it sold for $1,020,000. If it sold for, if it was listed for $500,000, it sold for $510,000. That's just quick math in my head. So if you're there and you have a calculator, you can just double check that for yourself. But that's just the quick calculations in my head. That covers off our top 3. Let's jump on to our next one. So our second top spot is it's called an area called Emerylee. So it runs pretty much to the north to the Hydro Corridor, to the east to Pine Creek, and then if you're going to go to the south, it's around the Canadian National Railway, and then it goes to the west to Altona Forest. It's an area which right now in the MLS, as of July 2020, the house prices for a detached run from $699,000 up to $1.2 million. There is one semi that is for $749,000 as well. The dominant year built of homes here is different than the previous three neighborhoods that we've covered. It sits at a range between 1981 and 1990. The area itself, it has amazing schools, so it has a 7.2 rating. It's out of 10. It's done by the Fraser Institute. You can check all that out on the Fraser Institute. They rank all schools in Ontario. Emerylee has tons of green space throughout. It's home to Altona Forest, which is an amazing place for the trails because the signs explain everything as you're walking through it. The trails are very well marked, and it takes about 1 hour or so to do the trail walk. Emerylee also has 10 parks, and there's tons of trees, and the traffic isn't actually that bad here. The average house price here that has sold based on Q1, so quarter one of 2020, is $853,000. The average days on market was 13, and then the average sale price to list price was 102%. So $1 million property on average was selling for $1,020,000. So those are the little fun facts about Emerylee. Let's jump on to our top number one spot within Pickering. So our top spot is an area that's called Highbush. So this is an area located, it goes north to the Hydro Corridor and then south to the CN Railway. It goes east to Altona Forest, and then it goes west to the Toronto border. Homes range here from $660,000 for a townhouse, similar to what you're seeing now, to over $2 million, which are homes that have been rebuilt. So they had been purchased X amount of years ago, and then people have just pretty much gutted it or tore it down and rebuilt from the foundation up. The dominant year built for homes here, the range is 1981 to 1990. So it is on the newer side of the city. Fantastic schools are here. So the average rating was 7.4 out of 10. The provincial average is either 6 or 6.5 out of 10. So it's a good amount above the provincial average. The area itself is really good for relaxation and nature walks. And it's great for this due to how close it is to places like the Rouge National Park, which has amazing trails and boardwalks set up. So if you're going there with your family or your dog, there's just stuff that you can do to get outside, and that's very important. There are 3 neighborhood parks, and it's great for convenience here because you are close to the GO train and the 401. So if you are going pretty much anywhere within Toronto or west of Toronto, or you're going to be going east all the way to Oshawa or Kingston, you can get there with the 401. If you're commuting every day and you want to go take the GO train, you are, if you catch the express, you're about 30 minutes away from Union Station. So that's a pretty close of a commute. Like, you can live in Toronto and you could take you longer than that to drive to where you're going, depending on where you are. So it's really good in terms of the convenience factor. The average house prices here, based on quarter one of 2020, was $757,000. So I kind of went through, and this is what you would get for that price, in and around, give or take a few $1,000s. Days on market here, the average was 10. So if something was listed within 10 days, it was sold and firmed up. So the homes here sell really quickly, and then they're selling for high prices. So if something was listed, it's selling for 104% of what it's actually being listed for. So if you're listing it at the $1 million price range, it's selling for $1,040,000. Like, that's incredible that it's on average selling that, because you know there's going to be some that are probably selling at 110% of that. So it's just a really hot, active area, and that's why I picked this area as my number one spot. All 5 of the areas are good areas to live, but I just had to find a way I could actually put them in order to make a top 5 and not just 5 good neighborhoods to live in. That covers off our top 5. Well, that concludes the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. That way I know people are enjoying the content that I'm putting out there, and then I think it helps put my video in front of more people. The more likes it gets, the more YouTube wants to show it to other people. I think that's what happens, so it does help me out if you do like it. If you forgot at the beginning, subscribe to the channel and click that little bell. That way you're notified each and every time I do post new videos. I post videos every single Friday, so if you want to be notified every time the video is released, click that bell and then you will actually be notified when the video is released. I have people reaching out from all over the world and I absolutely love it. So if you are looking at relocating here to Pickering, or if you're just moving here from different parts of the GTA, or you want to move to anywhere within the GTA, you can call, text, email, send the carrier pigeon, whatever is easiest for you. And I'm here to make your move go so much easier. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time.